Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jennifer Diamond, and I live a whole food, plant-exclusive, SOFAs-free, gluten-free lifestyle for health and well-being. And today, I'm going to be making some chocolate zucchini bread. So I have this squash, this crookneck squash, and it is in the zucchini family, and I wanted to use the rest of it. If you haven't seen my video for red lentil patties, please check it out, and you'll be able to see this before I cut it and how I make those out of this squash. But decided to go forward today with it and make some chocolate zucchini bread. And so the first thing I want to do is shred some of this zucchini. So let's go ahead and cut about, I don't know, this part right here. Whoa. All right. And in this part are the seeds. And at some point I'm going to get to the seeds and I'm going to be able to dry them out and share them with others. So at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and use this for right now, and I am going to use a box grater, and I'm just going to shred this. Now, I kind of would like a small a small one, but the only small one that I have is actually in my food processor, where the little holes are a little bit smaller, but I think this will be fine. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start doing this. I'm leaving the skin on, and it is washed and clean. Now, one thing about squash, whether it's zucchini or any other squash, like this one I should say, or yellow squash, they are very much full of water. And so once we get this all shredded up, we're going to be wanting to get any of the extra water out of it. You wouldn't know, but so much of our food in its natural form is filled with water. Even kale leaves, right? If you squeeze them and massage them and, really get in there, you will see that water ends up being in your bowl. Water and fiber are so important for us overall. And so look at that. Let's just kind of take a peek at this. I am going to be making 2 of these breads, and I'm going to make one a little bit different than the other. So I kind of want to measure out and keep things separately so that I can have one bread that's going to have a base of oats, the oat flour, and the other one, which is right here, the oat flour. These are oats right here, and I'm just going to, I have them in my dry mix and container, and I'm going to go ahead in a few minutes and I'm going to whip them up, and that's going to be one of the loaves. The other loaf, I'm going to use almond flour. And you can use any substitute, I believe, for this recipe, any other kind of plant-based flour. Now, I thought about doing quinoa flour, but I think that will have a stronger taste. And kind of might leave it more dense. So I went ahead and decided we'll try the almond. And I like to have alternatives because I think it's important. Not everyone can eat oats, and not everyone can have almonds. So this way we can try them both and compare and see if they're both great, or maybe you have an idea of something that you use. If so, please leave a comment below. Let me know how that is and what it is and what you use it for. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified when I go live or post new videos. And please consider giving this a thumbs up, or just go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I really would appreciate your support in helping me spread the word about my channel. And so I'm just going to do a little bit more of this and see if we can get the right amount for our recipe. Gosh, this is just an amazing squash that just keeps giving. It's so amazing. All right, so anyways, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set these aside for a minute, and then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna make an egg substitute. Well, what could that be? I'm gonna use flaxseed. We're gonna make a flax egg, and if you have never heard of that, this is pretty cool. So I have flax seeds. Let me grab the original. I want to show you in case you're not familiar. So these are the golden flax seeds, and you can also get these in like the darker version. The thing about these is that they're in their whole seed form, and that is important to know because here they are. Check them out. If you don't grind these up, and I'll try to show you here too, what can happen is they'll just go right through you. And so that's not good if you want to get the nutrients, the omegas. So what I do to make sure that they're extra fresh is I buy them in the seed form, I store them in the refrigerator, and then as I need them, I will grind them up. You can use a coffee grinder. I use this dry mix container that came with my Vitamix, and I try to do it like a couple days worth at a time. And so I have some already here that I ground up, and you can see it's really, really fine and nice. And so for 1 egg's worth, egg supplement, egg replacement, I should say, I am going to mix up 1 tablespoon of this, and I'm going to do 1 in each container for each one of the loaves, because we're doing 2 loaves that are a little bit different. And so then what I'm going to add to that is a little bit of water. Let me grab some. Okay, so I've got some water now, and what I'm going to do is for 1 ground up flax seed, or flax meal they call it, I am going to mix in 3 tablespoons of water. 2, 3, they're not perfect, but they're pretty good. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then I can just use a spoon, or I'm just using this spoon, and I'm just gonna mix it up, and you can see it's very runny. And I'm just gonna set it aside, and what's gonna happen is in like 5 minutes, it's gonna be thick in the same way that would maybe remind you of an egg yolk. And it's a great binder. So now what we're gonna do while we let that sit there, and I usually just let it sit on the counter, and we'll just be back in a few minutes. Now, I wanna see if we can squeeze out any moisture that may be in here. Now, I don't know. Let's try. I'm going to grab a clean towel, and we'll do 1 at a time. I love using kitchen towels for all kinds of things. They're great to have. We're always washing ours because we do so much different stuff with it besides drying dishes. And so I'm just going to see if I can get any liquid to come out of here. And there may be some more if you were in like the regular like green zucchini, and there may not be very much. But the idea is you want to try your best to get any moisture that might be in here. And you know what? This is pretty dry. You can tell that the towel, or maybe you can't, is a little bit wet, but I mean, sometimes it actually pours into the container. And I'm not finding that with this. So that's good. I have less work to do. And you could see that the towel is a little bit wet. And so let me just put this back in here. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Okay, so now what we're going to do is set these aside, and I'm going to grab 2 more bowls. Isn't this fun? I always like, it could be really simple by just doing it all in one, but hey, I'm going to do things a little differently. And so we didn't grind this up yet. So let's go ahead and do that. And I just want to show you, whoops, looks like the part of the lid fell in there. Whoops. And that's okay. So we're going to just put the cap on. But I just want you to see, you know, this is just, you know, regular rolled oats. And they're gluten-free. And now I'm going to show you what can happen when we can whip them up. Okay, and so there we have it. So we've got our rolled oats, and what we're going to do is we're going to measure. I measured it before I blended it up. I'm going to measure it again, and I want you to see what it looks like right now. Let me rinse this. I'm going to just pour this in here, and I want you to see how nicely this came out. Well, it actually is pretty much the same, so I'll just go ahead and show you right here. Look at this. Isn't this lovely? Look at that. See how it's just nice and fine, and it's our flour substitute. So let me move this out of the way. I'll put it over here. And then in the other bowl, I'm going to use almond flour, because this is like, I want to see if it will come out just as nice, and I need 2 loaves, and so like we talked about earlier, this is an almond flour that I got at Costco, and you can actually do the same thing with almonds. You can get almonds that are able to be ground up into a flour. But I have this ready to go here. These are the almond flour. It says blanched. And if you make it yourself and you don't have the brown part removed, I don't even know if you could buy it that way. I think you can. But anyhow, it would change the color of this. At any rate, we are all set now. And in these bowls, we're going to get our flax egg, and it should be a little bit thicker. Look at that. So there is still some water on the top, but if you mix it up, you can see that it has become more of like a gel. And that is going to be great. So I'm going to put the flax egg in each one of these bowls. You can see in the bowl even. Look at that. Isn't that kind of cool that just, you know, is such a great, healthy way to substitute for eggs. And so to that, we're going to be adding some other ingredients. So we are going to be adding some peanut butter. Yes. Now, if you don't like peanut butter, you can't have peanut butter. You can use a different kind of nut butter. Or you could substitute it with some applesauce if you want, or a very mashed up banana. But we're going to go ahead and use peanut butter. And I think probably just going to use the rest that's in here. Let me get my handy dandy scraper. And this peanut butter is just peanuts that were smashed up, you know, in like this machine. There's nothing added to it. There's no salt. They're not roasted. There's no oil. And so when you're picking any kind of nut butter, just be aware of what is in the ingredients. And I might need a little bit more. So I think I'm going to add to this peanut butter some almond butter. I have an almond butter. I was going to do one of each, but since I'm a little short here, I'm going to mix them and do, this one's going to have a little of each, and then the other one is just going to have solely almond butter. You could use sunflower butter or any kind of nut butter that you want. And so I'm going to go ahead and just dump this in with the flaxseed. Then I'm going to just do the almond butter with this one. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. Then we're going to add some maple syrup. And if you don't want to use maple syrup, you can use date syrup. But I'm going to go ahead and use maple syrup. And this is definitely a decadent dessert in the plant-based world, if you ask me. So now we're going to add some apple cider vinegar, and we're going to also add some plant milk and some vanilla bean powder. Now, if you don't have vanilla bean powder or you don't want to use vanilla bean powder, you can go ahead and use vanilla extract. I just prefer to use this because it's just, comes from the bean, and extract has usually alcohol in it. And if it is a non-alcoholic one, there is something else that's added. I can't remember right this moment, but whatever works for you. You just want some vanilla flavor to it. You could even use a vanilla bean, and you can cut it open and scrape out the inside. Man, that is a special treat. So let me measure this. Now, the thing about using vanilla bean powder is you can get away with using less than, say, vanilla extract, because the flavor is so great that, because it is a little pricier item, if you wanted to cut it in half, you'd still be able to get all the benefits in the flavor. But I think that is up to you and how much you enjoy vanilla. So, okay. So now that we have all of this in here, I'm going to add one more thing, which is going to be a plant milk. And I'm going to use a soy milk. I'm going to grab that. I've been keeping it in the refrigerator so that it would stay nice and cold. And you can use any plant milk, almond milk, oat milk. But I do tend to go with this Eden soy for a store-bought. And they have a lot of different ones. I like this particular unsweetened one because the ingredients is literally just water and soybeans, organic soybeans. So I really, really like that. And I'm going to go ahead and add some of this into each one of these bowls here. There we go. All right. And now we are going to combine them the best that we can. Now, I'm going to get a whisk, and I'm just going to try to whisk these. The peanut butter and the almond butter, they're kind of thick, so I'm just kind of pushing it down in there and trying to, slowly incorporate it. And you want to do your best to whip this up so that there aren't a lot of lumps. You just want to do your best. Take your time. And then once that's mixed up, we're going to go ahead and add the zucchini or the squash that we had sitting there, dried. And then we're going to gently stir that in there so that it's nice and coated. Look at that. Okay, and then I think what I'll do is just take a minute and do the same thing to this one. So there's just a little bit less than what I need here. So I just want to grab a new bag, and I'll show you that one. And this is the new one that I'm going to open. This is also an organic cacao powder, and so I'm just going to open this. There we go. And just top off a little bit more. we go. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is basically just dump this right in here, and I'm adding the wet to the dry, and then I'm gonna incorporate that. There we go. I'm just gonna mix this up gently. Now this one is the one that had the almond flour in it. So I'm gonna have to make sure that we don't mix them up so we know which one is which. But I'm just gonna continue to mix this up. Cacao powder sometimes doesn't absorb right away, so you just gotta mix it a little bit, just be a little patient with it, and here it is. It's getting all incorporated and mixed in just beautifully. And like I said before, I'm gonna leave this, and I'm gonna use this one, and I'm gonna do the same thing. It doesn't matter if you put the dry into the wet or the wet into the dry, it's just time to combine them. And so I think because that's a bigger bowl, I'm gonna go ahead and do this one a little backwards from the other one. And then we're just gonna continue to mix this up, and we are almost ready for it to go into the containers and into the oven. Now, I didn't preheat my oven yet. You'll want to preheat your oven as early as at the very beginning, just because our oven beeps and then it sometimes gets wonky, it turns off, and so I just kind of wait till I get a little bit closer. And as soon as I'm done mixing this, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven. I'm going to preheat it to 350 degrees. And this is with the oat flour that we ground up from the rolled oats. And I think this is perfect. Okay, so let me turn this on. Okay, so while that's preheating, we're gonna add one more wonderful ingredient to each one of these bowls. And can you guess what it is? Yes, you guessed it. Chocolate chips. So these chocolate chips are the dark, nut-free, gluten-free. They're by a company called Enjoy Life. And we're gonna just put a little bit of that in each one of these. And so they're gonna have a nice little extra bonus. Now, you might be asking me, why in the world am I making all of these for myself? Well, the truth is that I am making these for gifts, and I'm hoping that they're well liked by the receivers. Okay, so there we go. Whoops, this guy ran away. And so I'm just gonna fold it in, and that will give it a nice extra little bit of chocolatey goodness when we cut into this chocolate zucchini bread. And then I'm gonna do the same thing here. Oh, look at that guy. And I'm just gonna mix this one. Now, I am noticing a difference in texture. And the differences are the oat flour versus the almond flour, and the almond butter versus the peanut butter mixed almond. And so, you know, this will be interesting. So let me go ahead and grab these guys right here. These are just your typical bread loaf Pyrex dishes. And I had those spoon things in there because I had lined it with parchment paper, and it was kind of not holding its shape. And so you could do that with a spoon or anything in advance. And then I am just going to use each one of these to pour in here. And I think the one with the longer paper on this side, that's going to be the oats. And the one that we did here with the almonds, flour, is going to be this one with a little bit shorter on edge paper. And telling you is going to help me remember. And so you just want to pour it in. I really, really like lining my glass dishes and all of my products, unless they're silicone, because it just makes it so much easier at the end, not only for cleanup, but it doesn't stick, and then I can easily lift it up by the paper and transport it right onto the cooling rack. Okay, let's just get every little last drop out. There we go. And I see this, so I want to get every last drop out of the bowl and into this guy here. Okay, so let's move this aside. So this one I'm going to put right over here, and this is the almond flour. I might even want to mark it, but not sure how I would mark it. Anyways, this one is the rolled oat flour, and I'm going to go ahead and pour this one in. There we go. Wonderful, wonderful. And you know, if I didn't tell anyone, they might not even know that there's vegetables in their bread. So there's always a way to get vegetables in, even when you think you're doing something that, you know, you have to be careful of or you shouldn't eat so much of. Well, if it comes from my house, you know, it's probably okay. Okay, so we're going to put this in the preheated oven, and we're going to cook it for 50 to 60 minutes. And then I'm going to check it halfway through. I might rotate my pan just because of my oven. And then we will, you know, check in with you again and check on everything and just go from there. So let's go ahead and get these guys right here. And as soon as that beeps, I'm going to place it in there and set the timer. And in the meantime, I'm going to clean up here, and we'll be back. Okay, so this one is the one with the long paper. I'm going to put it back on that side. Let's see. And this one is the one with the short paper. So maybe we have our answers here. Maybe using the almond flour is going to give you more of like a, what is that called? Like a lava cake, because it's a little indented, and this one is not. Very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and let's try this again. I think it's pretty good. Okay, well, I'm going to go for it. Let's take these out, and I'm just going to pick up the paper very carefully, and we're going to put it on this board right here. And here we go. The reason that I love the parchment paper, remember? Oh my goodness. And now what I'm going to do is move these out of the way because they're hot, hot, hot. Let them cool over there. And then let's move this over here a little bit. And now what I want to do is I want to take some chocolate chips and just kind of put them on the top and let them melt themselves just from the heat coming off of the bread. And you don't have to do this. A lot of times it's nice, since there is a nut butter in here, that maybe you could put almonds or peanuts on top, or a little bit of that on the top, just to let people know that that is something that's in there if you're sharing this. But today I am not going to do either of those things, although I have in the past and I do like to do that. I'll just communicate that verbally this time. And there we go. Look at that, so pretty. And so now what we're going to do is we're just going to let it cool off. And then once it cools off a little bit, I'll be able to pull the paper off. Oh, this one's starting to Be like I could pull it off a little bit. I don't want to rush this. You don't want to rush this. You really want to let it just cool off. And now that it's out of the heating container, you know, the bread Pyrex dish, now that it's out of there, it won't keep cooking. If you keep it in the hot container, it tends to keep cooking. So anyways, this just looks so great. I can't wait to cut into it with you. And so we'll be back. We'll let it cool for just a little bit. Okay, so things have been continuing to cool, and I started to pull the paper away a little bit, and I just can't get over what could have happened, why this sunk and the other one didn't. So I did a little quick research, and it turns out that this is, I guess, a common thing that can occur when using almond flour, and that is because almond flour is a higher fat content. And at any rate, the way that I guess I could have helped it to be able to leaven better is to up the baking soda. So if you try this and you try it with the almond flour, maybe double the baking soda and see what happens. But if you don't want to try it, you just want what will work, well, then go with the oat flour. And if this has happened to you before and you've understood what happened and you know how to correct it, please let me know in the comments. I'm sure it's still going to taste fabulous. It's just, you know, a little bit sunken in, and I think it's also because the almond flour is dense and it's a heavier flour. And so anyways, I'm still very happy with the products. I'm going to try to take it out of the paper and see what happens here. Let's see how we do this. It is still warm, but I just want to be able to share this with you. Oh yeah. And so I'm just gently getting the edges. Oh yeah, it's really warm on the bottom still. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just do that so you can see it a little bit better. And what I might do is, we're gonna be heading out, and so maybe I'll just come back later after it's really cooled well, and we can finish cutting it and looking at it and tasting it then. What do you say? I don't want to do it too early and then have it collapse more. Let's just take the paper down a little bit on this side. And you can see, I mean, I think you could see, could you tell that this one kind of goes like that and this one kind of goes in like that? But it's all good and it's made with love, and that's the whole point, right? Is to show you that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just is what it is. And so, okay, enough of that. I'll be back. We'll test this soon. All right, I'm back, and these are cooled off. And even though this one's shape isn't perfect, I think it smells delicious. And this one came out really well. So let's take these off the paper and cut into them and see how this turned out. Oh my goodness, let's see. There we go, look at that. That is beautiful. Doesn't that look nice? And this one, well, I learned again that I needed to add a little bit more baking soda to this one. Do you know what? It's all right. So look at that. Here they are. Aren't they pretty? Look at that. Let's just show you. All right, so they're definitely cooled, so there's no need for me to keep them on the cooling rack. Let's transition them over to the cutting board and cut some. All right, so let's just do this right like this. Ooh, it feels really dense cutting through it already. Wow, look at that. That looks great. Okay, look. Okay, let's try cut the other one. Let me move this actually back over here. And then this one. So this was the oats, and this, the little sunken one, that was the almond flour. And then just gonna cut it. Huh, this one actually seems to be holding up pretty darn good, even better than the other one. Wow, so many surprises. Okay, so let me see, which one should we try first? Let's go with the one we put on the plate first. That's the that's the oatmeal, the oats. It's a little bit crummy. I'm surprised. It's not really holding. It's very moist. It's not really holding together. The flavor is very mild. It's got a subtle chocolate to it. It's got, but it's not like super sweet. It's just really, it's a bread for sure. Wow. And then let's try the other one. God, this one, it's sunk, but it's holding up better. I never know anymore what to expect sometimes. Wow. Oh my goodness. I mean, I kind of feeling like the almond one is more moist. It is more moist. What in the world? This is really hard to share it. I gotta bring him in. I gotta bring Todd in and have him try this because I want to make sure that I'm sharing correctly. But I feel like the almond one is more moist, and the oat one is not. It's more crummy. So let me see, Todd. Would you come in here and try some of this with me and give us your opinion? Yeah, okay.
All right, I will. What do we, oh, nice. Hello, everybody. This is the best part of the job, I gotta be honest.
I'm just, okay, let me actually, okay, so here's what's going on.
Okay.
Oatmeal, rolled oats ground into flour.
Okay.
And this one is almond flour.
This one has a depression.
It does, and I was feeling like I maybe should have put in a little more baking soda to help it, help it
stay rised.
Yeah.
Rising.
But anyways, so
Fuller.
Go ahead and tell me what you think about the two. This one is
okay.
on that, and this one is that, and just give everybody your thoughts.
Okay, this one is crumbly.
Yeah, it's crumbly.
Well, first of all, the flavor is phenomenal.
Oh, you love the flavor? Okay, so
I made a chocolate bread.
It's got
What could go
zucchini
wrong?
in it, right? It's got the squash in it.
Yeah, I mean, flavor-wise, it's absolutely fantastic. It is a little crumbly.
Yeah, it's crumbly.
So.
Now try that one, which I'm going to try with you because I'm holding this piece.
This one's already more moist. I can see it.
Right?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely more moist.
I like it.
This one's good. It's not, wow, I don't know.
Right? That's why I had to call you in because I'm like, how do you explain this? They're both really good, aren't they?
They are, but
Do you have a favorite? I want to try
I
this
don't
one
know.
again.
They're both really good.
So would you make...
But there's a subtle difference between them, and I don't know how to describe it. This one's almost sweeter,
Oh, really?
like more desserty, chocolatey bread kind of, and this is, I mean, it's very, very subtle. I mean, they're both like clearly chocolate bread, which is just awesome.
So in other words, if you decide to make this, whether you have it sink a little or not,
You're not going to go wrong.
it's going to be delicious.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming and helping me share with everyone. We do hope that you leave a comment and let us know if you tried it, what your thoughts were, and any suggestions that you may have that could help us improve this. And thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
I don't know why you're laughing.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.